Welcome back to the Anthony Lee Crypto channel. Taking a look today by request from the VIP Discord, looking at Cardano. What will we do in December? Will we explode to the upside or will we crash to zero? That is the question we're going to try to answer for you today. So we're looking at Cardano here on the weekly on the Binance chart. Going back to full history, it looks like we topped out, depending on what exchange, somewhere around the $3. This one went up to about $3.10, somewhere in that area, depending on your exchange. I have thrown a volume profile on here. Now, I didn't do the full history of Cardano because we were back here, less than 5 cents, less than a penny, less than, way down there. But since we've come up and left that during the last cycle, we have not dropped below this line at looks like the low is about 22 cents. So I feel like this is more relevant price action to what we have going on today versus the initial phases of Cardano at sub 5 cents. So take a look at the profile there. We're stuck in this long-term volume range profile, nearing the point of control now. Already this cycle, we've come up and tapped the 382 retracement from the all-time high to the bottom of the bear market. We've tapped the 382, but we didn't get much higher. So a pretty big underperformance, you say, but with the exception of a handful of altcoins, most of them have vastly underperformed the cycle. So Cardano is no exception to that. I'm not singling it out. It is a great project. I'm sure it will do very, very well. But the question is, how well will it do in the next month or so? Okay, so when we look at altcoins these days, guys, the days of your coins in 1 or 2 months doing 25, 30, 100x, those days are long gone. Let me tell you why. In the previous cycle, there were about 7,000 active altcoins, okay? Now, this cycle, there's over 20,000. So 3 times more altcoins. When you have money going to the market for triple the coins, it's spread more thin, which means most coins are going to get a smaller pump compared to what they used to do in history, okay? So we don't expect the same type of returns. That's just the way it is. So we need to start looking at altcoins more from a liquidity standpoint, just kind of like you do on Bitcoin. Like, where does the liquidity lie? Where is the market maker most likely to take a price in order to gain liquidity? So as you can see from this 382, obviously we have a liquidity spike here with liquidity residing above it. If you come here to the 0.5 from last cycle, you got a little liquidity there, and above the 618, you may have some liquidity. Of course, you're going to have some at all-time high. I do not see us getting to all-time high this cycle. There's just not enough time left for that, in my opinion. Now, this high right here near the 786, okay, this high actually took out this high. So you've already captured the liquidity there. And if you want to get really technical about it, at this 0.5 fib, if we kind of zoom in here and take a look, you technically captured the liquidity of this high when you came up here. Yes, you do have a little liquidity still above here, those people that were lucky enough to catch that. But for the most part, these people right here that shorted right here, they came, got stopped out, flipped long, went underwater, and eventually got liquidated or stopped out as price came down. This liquidity here has been taken. So really, guys, bad news. The only liquidity outstanding, except for this little bit here in recent days, is going to be this 382 at about $1.32. Now, I do think we could probably come up and grab this liquidity into the 0.5. So for this cycle, I would be looking for, if we could get up and move in, and let's cover that, whether or not we will in a second. But I think we could be looking for a max profit on Cardano. A good target about $1.66, $1.70, somewhere in that range. I don't see it coming to the golden pocket at about $2. Just because there's no liquidity here. You'd have to come up substantially higher to about 250, and this liquidity has already been taken. So unless there was just some serious FOMO, there is no need for Mr. Market Maker to take it to that price. Does that make sense, guys? I hope that makes sense. But I could see him coming to get his liquidity to the left here as well as above the 0.5 fib. So still not bad. From low to high, if we did hit that, you'd be looking at about an 8x. So that's not too shabby. I know it's not what you all want to hear, but let's take advantage of it rather than wishing for one thing and not getting it. Let's take advantage of the market moves that we can possibly expect, the realistic ones. Now, looking at my indicators on the bottom, I have BBWP. That's a measure of volatility. And below that, we have a stochastic meter. So volatility is headed up. then you want to long or short if you're trading or buy or sell based upon the direction of stochastic, okay? I'll put a whole video out on this thing. Go catch this video. As a matter of fact, let me show you this video. You do not want to miss this video. Go to my channel, subscribe right now. It's called Steal This Setup. Thumbnail says Steal This Setup, trading strategy for massive moves. It explains this volatility and stochastic setup, and trust me guys, it is a amazing setup for massive profits. But what we need is volatility going up while price is going up. So we need volatility up while stochastic is up. That will cause price to go up. And I'm looking at the weekly time frame, and the stochastic is still headed down while volatility is going up. It will not cross to the upside unless we get above 52.5 cents. Now we could trim it down to the daily and see if it kind of looks like we're heading in that way. And this just doesn't look good. Stochastic is headed up, but volatility is headed down, which means we could expect some more kind of sideways and maybe some up, since we are technically above the downward crossing number of 40.9 on the daily. We are headed to the upside, but this is headed to the downside. So you'd probably be more like some slightly upwards chop here. So we really need to get on our horse here if we're going to see Cardano move. But if we can get this sideways and up chop over the next week or two, let's take a look at the 2-day. Same thing, volatility headed down, but stochastic headed up. 3-day, where do we need to flip? Right here. We need to flip this 48.4 on the 3-day. Okay, that, my friends, is what we need to flip. If we can flip that, and we see here that volatility on the 3-day is still an extreme highs. We're up here in the red and orange area, still pointing to the upside. If we can flip 48.2 before this volatility swings down on the 3-day, then we can start to look for some big moves to the upside. That'll bleed into the 5-day at 51.4, which is still an extreme highs. We got to get above 51.4 to flip the 5-day. Stochastic is bottomed out. So if we can flip this to the upside while in extreme highs, you could get a massive run up all the way to the top of stochastic, just like you got here. Same thing here. Volatility was headed up on this move. Stochastic was bottomed out, curved to the upside with volatility headed up. You got to move here from 51 cents all the way to $1.02. So you got a 100% rally right there. Boom. We need something like this, and we need it soon. Anyway, that 5-day will bleed over into the weekly, which is 52.5. Volatility's headed up. Stochastic's bottomed out. If we can get the 3-day, we can get the 5-day, we can get the weekly, and then that bleeds over to the 2-week. Now, this is a big one. It is still headed to the downside at 65 cents. We need to flip. Volatility's got some room to move here. So if we can get above 65 cents, guys, that's our target. We've got to get above 65 cents, and we've got to do it within the next 2 weeks in order to move this price significantly. If we do that, then we can look for some significant upside, and I think to the tune of somewhere around $1.65, $1.70 is going to be a great take profit. So about a 4x from current price. But we need to be watching these. Go ahead and get these indicators on your chart. Watch them. If they start flipping in the next week or so, then you can expect this move that I'm calling for, okay? So that's it for Cardano. If you want to see your altcoin or another altcoin, go ahead and drop them down in the comments. Subscribe to my channel. Let me know what you want to hear about, and I will shoot a video. We will see you next time.